So I've been asked to come and talk to you about balance. Well, here's the thing. There is no such thing as balance in times like this. The best that we can hope for is not to fall off the tightrope. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that little by little, moment by moment, we'll make minor adjustments and keep moving forward. Because as a health profession, that's what we do, isn't it? You're amazing people doing extraordinary work in really difficult circumstances, and hundreds of thousands of people are grateful for you. I'm Lynda Holt, and I've spent 15 years in frontline emergency nursing. And during that time, believe it or not, I learned a thing or two about stress, about coping in difficult circumstances, and about showing up when your very bones have had enough and you don't want to be there anymore. Because again, that is what we do. None of us are superhuman. However much we want to think we are, we think we're responsible for all of those people in our care, all of those people in front of us. And in some ways we are. But we're not responsible for all of their well-being, for all of the circumstances they find themselves in. We're responsible for the bits that we can do something about. And that is enough. Know this, every single one of you, every single person in health and social care makes a difference to someone and something every day. You need to be able to look after yourself in that process. I could tell you, as I'm sure many people are, that you need to create some balance for yourself. You need not to work long hours. You need to get plenty of rest. You need to have some downtime. You need to spend time with your family and loved ones. You need to have a great self-care routine. All of those things are true. You know they're true. I know they're true, but they're just not where you're at right now. So I refer back to my point about balance. This is a precarious tightrope, and you are walking along it inch by inch by inch. And along that journey, you're doing a lot of good for a lot of people, and that's the bit that you hang on to. Here's the thing you have to remember. None of us are invincible. None of us are perfect. We all need a bit of refueling and a bit of maintenance every now and again. And the better you get at that maintenance, the longer you can keep going. You can take the odd shortcut for sure. You can cut the odd corner, and you can probably keep that going for a few days. We're in this one for the long haul. And in the long haul, you have to put in the maintenance. You have to take care of yourself if you want to keep rocking up day after day. As part of that maintenance, for me, there are a number of permissions that you have to give yourself, acknowledgements if you like, starting with, it's really tough out there, and it's okay to feel a bit vulnerable every now and again. I'd love to share with you a few of the permissions that have helped me, that have worked for me over the years in emergency nursing. The first one of these is it's okay to be scared. None of us have the answers yet. None of us know how this is going to pan out. So whether you're scared for your own well-being, whether you're scared about coping with the enormity of the task, whether you're scared for your loved ones, or whether you're just scared of the unknown, this is okay. The best that you can hope for now is to focus on the stuff that you control. When you drill into that, when you start to look at the stuff that you have got control over, it does two things. First of all, it genuinely helps the emerging situation. You make a real difference. And secondly, it puts your conscious brain to work. It stops you from wandering off into the spiral of overwhelm and despair. So focus on what you can control. Second, it's okay to be not okay every now and again. If you need to take a few minutes out, if you need to take a few days out, that's all right. Like I said, we're in this for the long haul. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to vent. It's okay to cry. You're a human being. And as a human being, the suffering and pain of other humans is not going to leave you untouched. It touches you, it hurts you, it shapes you. It makes you the great carer that you truly are. It's okay to feel stressed and to do things to mitigate that stress. The World Health Organization talk about stress on emergency and crisis workers, which is exactly what you are right now. And those stresses include overwhelming responsibility, massive workload, not having really clear role definition, and not having access to good psychological support. Think about the things that stress you and look at how you can mitigate a little bit of that, even if it is just withdrawing yourself from a situation occasionally, or as I said before, putting a bit of control around the stuff that you can directly impact. It's okay to need to rest. Even superheroes need a rest, and that includes you. When we think about how healthcare runs, you've probably been pulling out the stops for quite a while, covering holidays, filling vacancies, running on fumes maybe even. You may feel like you really thrive on a crisis. You may feel like you can step up and be everything to everybody. You may be the original Duracell bunny. You still need to get a rest if you're going to keep going. One of the things that I saw over and over in emergency care when we had a major incident, extraordinary winter pressures, nothing on this scale, by the way, but times where people really, really needed to step up. It wasn't the stepping up that was the difficulty. They step up every day. It was the stepping back that was difficult, not out of some misguided heroism, but out of love for our colleagues, out of wanting to do the best for the people in our care, out of wanting to be part of the solution and feeling that we've got something to contribute. But you can only step up for so long. You need to get rest as well. And you may laugh at this, but that includes going on your break. Remember, you're a human being. You need to eat, you need to drink, you need to wee for goodness sake. So take that break when you need it. It's okay to use humour, even if it feels like you're laughing at somebody else's expense. Black humour has for long since been part of the emergency care world, part of the military services. Pretty much every profession you think of has got its own black humour. And it's there for a reason. It's there because it decompresses your brain in really stressful situations. Humour's important because it does a number of things. First of all, it occupies your brain. You're going through that sequence of incongruence, surprise and resolution. So again, your brain is consciously processing. It's distracted from the noise. And assuming that the joke is funny enough, you follow that up with laughter. And laughter does a couple of things. Inside you itself, it readjusts your brain chemistry. It releases dopamine and serotonin. But also, and equally as importantly, it creates like a shared relief with those around you, even if it's just for a moment. It's that kind of like normality bit. And that's important too. Talking of normality, it's okay to want to be normal. Normality comes from simple things like, if you can, going home at the end of your shift, being with those that you love, doing the stuff that you normally would do, having the banter that you would normally have. That grounds you. That normalises things for you. It lets you be who you are. And if you find you can't go home in these circumstances, try speaking to your loved ones on video or the telephone, but preferably on video. Again, for that reason, those people that really know you have an amazing capacity to just touch bits of you that you might leave outside the door when you're at work, to bring you back to yourself. So the important message here with normality is just have those few moments for yourself to be who you are outside of work. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. This is a lot. Overwhelm comes in two forms. It comes in form of physical overwhelm and psychological overwhelm, but its impact is the same wherever it comes from. What happens when you get overwhelmed is your brain, if you like, is racing faster than your physical body can act. So the pattern between stimulation, decision and action gets totally distorted and we start to react. And as we react, we often react emotionally, and it's not always our best emotions that come out. So when overwhelm hits you, stop, physically and mentally, just for a few seconds and take stock of what's going on around. If it's physical, look at the jobs that need doing, look at the things that are happening, what's urgent, what's the priority, what can you control, and do that. If it's psychological, look at what you're feeding your brain. Think about it. Are you telling yourself all the negative stories? Are you catastrophizing everything that's going on around you? Are you making this massive, overwhelming mountain? It's easy for me to stand here and say it, and I say it because I know that it works. If that's happening for you, it's time to switch up your thinking. It's time to consciously override what you're feeding your brain. When you start to do this, then you can start to focus on the good things that are happening, the little places that you've made a difference, the small wins that you've had every single day. This isn't some kind of woo-woo positivity. It's when you start to focus on this, your brain starts to get empowered. Your reticular activating system starts to look for more wins. So actually, you become psychologically more focused and physically more productive. And that's how you get out of overwhelm. It's okay to look after your mental well-being. You know, traditionally as health workers, we often don't prioritise or value psychological support in the same way as we might physiological support. And yet we cognitively know that it's right and that it's important. And yet we play this kind of game with ourselves where we almost think that we should be impervious to all the stuff that would floor the rest of humanity, those things that we get exposed to day in, day out, that we treat as normal. You know, there is nothing about this situation that is normal. There's nothing about what you're being exposed to that is normal. It's quite okay to prioritise your own mental well-being. And there's a number of ways of doing this. Look at the way that you behave. Be kind and don't judge. And when I say this, I'm talking about how you behave towards yourself as well as how you behave towards other people. Be kind to yourself. Cut yourself a bit of slack. Limit your exposure to negativity. And by this I mean people and stories. When you get caught up in other people's negative stories, it's very easy to have the same kind of emotional reaction, the same emotional roller coaster that they're having. So you're likely to produce adrenaline and cortisol, which in turn has the absolute opposite effect to the humour stories. It actually brings you down and makes you less resilient and less able to cope with what you're exposed to. Social contact. I've touched on this earlier on when I talked about normality, but I think it's really important that you maintain the social contact from a respectable distance, of course, that you can in these circumstances, albeit online a lot of the time. The last bit under mental health for me is around good habits, around gratitude. And what I'm talking about here really is about being able to give yourself the strength to keep going. And very often the strength to keep going comes from recognising the impact that you're having, recognising the difference you're making, and celebrating the small wins. And finally, it's okay to ditch the guilt. You know, I've talked about being a tightrope walker. It's more than that. You're a tightrope walker juggling a load of balls, and you've got one job in this situation. And that one job is not to fall off the tightrope. It's okay to drop the odd ball or two. It's okay to stumble inelegantly. It's okay to lose your footing every now and again. But you and I both know that you're going to keep moving forward on this tightrope. We both know that you're going to come off the other end of the tightrope. And during that journey along the tightrope, you are going to have helped hundreds and hundreds of people who in their moment of need, you were there for them, and they will forever be grateful for that. You are loved and you are appreciated, not just by your friends and family, but by all of us. If I can help you, if I can lend an ear, if I can talk to your teams, please reach out to me. Thank you and take care.